understandable. Still, the world will grow at 3%. But you will see a big disparity between the growth of advanced economies and emerging markets and developing economies. So the bet practically for 2024 will have to go towards that side. But we always want to be granular with that. It's easy to say emerging markets, but where? So let's take a look at growth projections by region. So the global remains the same, but if you're going to be looking at the more developed economies like the United States, the countries that are in the Euro area, Latin America, they're not going to be growing as much as Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East and Central Asia, and the biggest numbers would be emerging and developing Asia. So we are in the right place. This is the region to watch. But as we think that, we still have a lot of companies within the region, and which countries will be doing better than others? So if you're going to be looking at this, this is the annualized growth rate for 2023 and 2024. You're going to see the violet there, that's global or world output, world growth, but you will see the biggest ones. And let me highlight that chart for you. India will be growing at 6.4, the Philippines at 5.5. So this would be the 1-2 punch for 2024. And why? Because of a lot of reasons. And maybe, let me cut the details of the technical side and say, no matter what's happening, we're still positioned supposedly to achieve our financial dreams. See, fulfilling your financial dreams, what you'd want for your family and people special to you, will have to continue no matter what's happening to economies. You will still have to retire, you will still have to educate children, you still have to put that roof over your family. All of these things will have to happen no matter how the economies of the world are going. So clearly, what's incumbent upon us is to strategize. It's to answer that question, what should I do vis-a-vis that? And clearly, as we think about investments, we have to think about value. Value is always at the core of every investment decision. But not a lot of people understand this. That value is commonly seen when no one's looking. When people are more risk averse, when people are with psychological or negative sentiments to avoid markets and investments, that's when you see value. And no matter how the Philippines and countries in Asia are actually projected to do very well, not a lot of people are making bets today. The volume that you see in all financial markets in Asia are at low compared to the way they were even after we recovered from the pandemic, and more so before the pandemic. And that's the reason why we should be able to, get away from the psychological despondency and capitulation and see what can we get from this. See, when it comes to the Philippine interest rates, it has already flattened, the curve is flattened. What does that mean? Short-term rates are still high, but long-term rates are beginning to simmer down. People know that interest rates are about to come down. The U.S. has not adjusted or hiked rates since July. And they've always met and they've always stopped themselves from increasing those rates, and fundamentals are showing that it's the right thing to do. So, thinking about 2024, we might see the cuts starting mid-year. But we're not even going to be waiting for that. Why? Because the 10-year treasuries are already down before the cuts are happening. So, which means the market is getting ahead of them. But for the Philippines, we've had an off-cycle increase of 25 basis points, but we're projecting inflation to go down to 5.4 this year, 3.2 next year, and 2.9 in 2025. And why so? Because inflation has actually gone down from a big 6.1 to about 4.9 in October 2023 as we were doing that increase. But we're always following the big countries, right? We're always following the US. And this is the story in the US. That after that set of hikes that, again, hit that peak in July, rates are projected to actually come down. And most of the reason is, captured in that action. And they know that, let's face it, everything is political. It's an election year next year. If the US continue to hike rates, the US will go into a technical recession very easily. And obviously the administration will be losing. So you don't want to do that. You'd want to be a little conservative in hiking rates. And that's the reason why they've been doing this. But it's not a bad decision after all, because the inflation is getting tamed and there is no overheating in the US economy. So basically, rates probably will be at its peak this year, hoping, without any new wars or conflicts or escalation in the Middle East. Hopefully, we've seen the peak, and 2024 will be a start of rates getting lower. For Philippine fixed income, we never think that this is going to take long, or within 5 to 10 years. It will not last that long. And the next few months will likely provide a strategic entry point for investors. And when we say strategic entry point, that's probably where we are today. The Philippines has emerged as among the world's most promising destinations of foreign investments. See, even in Philippine capital markets, the stock market, it is moving sideways, but you have to look at how companies are earning. See, even in stocks, for example, when you buy a stock, you're actually buying the propensity of the company to earn money. So you're basically buying the opportunity to earn money. If that company earns money, you make money. The companies are actually making money. Look at Jollibee. It's 1,064% over its earnings last year. And why? Because last year is an open-close economy. 2 months were open, 2 months were closed because of the pandemic. This year, the entire year was open. So if you're going to be looking at the first and the second quarters, the numbers are high. These are the top 10 earnings growth companies in the Philippine Stock Exchange. The lowest one in the top 10 is a PINAY SM Investments Corp, which probably, in terms of market cap, would be the biggest here. 44% growth. And is it only the top 10? No. Even the next 20 would give you a very respectable 42% increase to as low as 12. But I can tell you the reason why that is 12 is because that company never really experienced a downturn. Pure Gold, all throughout the pandemic, has been continuously making money because people in the Philippines had deliveries coming from Pure Gold, delivered to their home. So they did not really suffer and lost a step as much as the big companies like the real estate companies, the banks. So somehow this gives you an idea, yes, companies are making money and companies are making money consistently. They're beating the expectations of analysts on the street. But you get to understand why, beg that question, why are prices still low? And historically, we're almost at our lowest, close to that time when we had the lowest of the low when it came to, that was kind of March 2020 when the pandemic hit. We are at a PE band of about less than 30 for 2023 earnings and less than 10 for 2024 earnings. The Philippines normally will be at a PE band of about 17 to 18. And why is this so? Again, negative sentiment. It's all about market psychology. But if you're going to be asking all the analysts now, very strong consensus, people are expecting the market to rebound next year. And why is that? Again, full year of reopening, easing macro concerns, earnings growth, which are really consistent, and very, very cheap valuations. We're going to be looking at the Philippines today. The biggest buyers of the company shares are the owners themselves. everybody is getting to what we call a buyback budget. Meaning, AYALA buys AYALA land shares, the SM family is buying SM shares. Again, this is the reason why somehow, at the tail end of crisis, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because the rich people just continue investing in the companies they already own. And when markets turn around, unfortunately, the poor people don't have the assets to show for it. And when inflation hits you, it's really your earnings that are going to be lower because of the value of your peso and the purchasing power it has. However, the other guys, the richer people who have the assets, would have a growth base because the assets will also rise in terms of value. So again, I like this quote by Dr. David Kelly, who is the Chief Global Strategist of JP Morgan Funds. The key to successful investing is not or never predicting the future. It is looking at the present and understanding it with clarity. There are reasons for the Philippines to be in the right path. And this is quite a stretch, but I want to show it to you. It's real. It says here, the Philippines to become the world's 18th biggest economy in 2050. First question I have in my mind is this: will I be here in 2050? Sometimes, you get to think about, andyan ka ba, right? But the point is this: even if you say that's still 2050, then where will the Philippines be in 2030, 2035, right? But the key here, the footnote, is very important as long as it addresses its problem in infrastructure. Strategic infrastructure is the problem of the Philippines. One, we're an archipelago. And two, I think you've heard about our killer traffic, billions of pesos a day getting lost as people stay in their cars and probably even sleep in them through traffic. You haven't seen the kind of traffic, and the comparison to what you have here is basically far, far from it. But I guess it's not only capital economics that did this study. There was an HSBC study that got released last year saying the Philippines will be in the top 50 economies in 2030. And there's another study by Morgan Stanley, saying that the Philippines will be in the top 40 economies by the year 2050. So basically all of it moving forward. And why is that? Because again, our key drivers of growth are continuously growing. Continuously growing in great number. Again, tourism, overseas workers, and the BPO industry. Let's take a look at each of these. The Philippines records the fourth fastest growing economy, tourism economy in the world. Even without the strategic infrastructure, we're already the fourth fastest. But if you're going to be looking at how our, I've just heard somebody came from Siargao, some other people go to the Philippines. I mean, think about it. If you guys been to El Nido and compare that with Bali, it's no comparison, right? No comparison. But if you say man-made versus man-made, you're dead, right? Bali is such a nice place when it comes to the man-made. But natural resources, I can compare Bali to Matabungkay. It's a 2-hour drive from Manila. That's the kind of beach you see. But we have all the places. It's just that the problem here is that you go through a gauntlet to get there. Right? Before you get to Siargao, you have to land in Manila, get all your bags, move it into another plane, and all that stuff. By the time you get to the resort, you hate the trip, right? It's almost like something special will have to happen for you to erase that kind of memory. But you can just imagine if the Philippines will be much like an Indonesia, where you can go straight to Denpasar and land in Bali. For the longest time, the airport in Denpasar was better than Jakarta. So people in Europe know Bali, they don't know Indonesia. If we can do that kind of improvement in our tourism, in our infrastructure, like the infrastructure future initiatives, the government knows what it has to do. And the target is to get us to the 12 million tourist arrivals by 2028. Do you know how many tourist arrivals Thailand has today? 40 million. 40 million. And if you've been to Thailand and you've been to special places in the Philippines, you know, in terms of natural resources, we probably will have not just a standing chance to go toe to toe, but somehow in other places, we even have better destination. However, you know, we don't have that airport, we don't have those connections and all that stuff. So for us, 12 million is okay. 12 million is a great target already. That's a big leap. But this is a big story. OFW workers in 2000, in the year 2000, OFWs remitted $6 billion to the Philippines. By the year 2022, overseas workers remitted $36.1 billion to the Philippines. And this year, the estimate is going to be $37.5 billion in 2023. Again, BPOs. BPOs, obviously at risk because people are saying AI is in the wings. AI will probably take a lot of jobs away. Not a lot of people in the Philippines agree with that. Why? Because even if AI is there, somebody has to prompt AI. Who's going to be doing the prompting? It's still people. So again, the challenge is to increase the value of the job, increase the value of the work people do. But let me just tell you how it is grown. Last year, it has contributed $32.5 billion to the economy. $32.5 billion. You know how much this number was in the year 2000? It was only $90 million. From $90 million to now 32.5, and the expectation is 35 billion by 2024, or by 2023, sorry. And then this is what carries all that. The advantage that we have is that we have a very robust, growing young population, which is the major contributor to our GDP. If you look at GDP, both the supply and demand side, you will see that services have now outpaced manufacturing and agriculture. But on the demand side, also the final consumption expenditure is what's carrying the load. So the key, ladies and gentlemen, to the growth of the Philippines is population, which is a very, very strong domestic market. Now that is a very young population. Now this is a graphical representation of what we call a demographic sweet spot. A demographic sweet spot happens if people 15 years and below would be only 30% of your population. And people 65 years old and above will be less than 15% of the population. If you're going to be looking at this, Japan is such an old country, right? And if you've been to Japan lately, you know, we were just there a week ago. I even prompt my wife as we enter malls. You know the security? They're almost like 60 to 70 years old, right? But it's okay. Even with an earthquake, people pay their bills, right? Even if there's an earthquake, people pay what they got from that department store. In the Philippines, if you have security guards who are 65 years old and above, you'll lose your business, right? So here, you're going to see even Hong Kong, even Singapore, they're all aging populations. If you're going to be looking at the Philippines, we got into this sweet spot only in 2015. And people are saying we're going to be on that sweet spot for about 30 years. However, there's a latest study that actually refutes that. This study actually says that that's going to be a 70-year window. Because today, with a fertility rate of 2.8%, which is much, much higher than the Asian, median of about 1.9, the Philippines will not experience a drop in population rate until the year 2092. Okay? So that's going to be a very, very strong domestic economy pushing, GDP pushing, industries like real estate. So if this kind of tickles your fancy and you're thinking, I should invest in the Philippines, and then people get to ask, so what do you invest in? And again, obviously, the company that invited you today is Unveil, so we're going to say the best investment on earth is actually Earth. Right? An increasing population, given finite land, would definitely show you that real estate should be one of the industries to watch in terms of growth and in terms of earnings proposition. And think about it, unlike the US and other places in Asia, we've always had a housing backlog for a long, long time. And that's the reason why the rental markets in the Philippines are very, very robust. We will have a rental yield of anywhere between 4 and in some places as high as 8. But places like the more sophisticated and progressive places of Asia, like Hong Kong, for example, the yield rate probably will be less than 5. Okay, in Singapore, it's probably about 2 to 3 today. Right? So again, we're saying might be the best investment that you can get yourself into. And why? So many reasons. Number one, creates regular cash flows. OFWs are in a position to be property entrepreneurs. You buy 2 or 3 units in the Philippines, you rent it out, you kind of earn exactly the amount that you're earning in Hong Kong, you can go home and have the income coming from your properties. If you're a Hong Kong resident, you can actually get cash flows coming from the Philippines as you rent out properties in that country. Capital appreciation. Now this is funny because I'm going to be showing you something that's right hedged into this capital appreciation thing. Because in the Philippines, even in the worst of times, real estate prices never crashed. Except for the 1997 Asian financial crisis. That's the only time real estate prices dropped. But even in the worst time in 2008, global financial crisis, Philippine real estate prices just flattened or plateaued. Real and ideal inflation hedge as prices of labor goes up, factors of production like steel, cement, obviously real estate prices go up as well. Properties drive growth with very, very limited downside. Again, because of the demand for it. In the Philippines, not a lot of people own homes. They do rent. And even in the metropolis today, because people are in BPOs, the kids don't want to go home to far away places. They actually rent a flat or a unit very, very close to where they work, and they walk to work on a daily basis. And that's the reason why that's also a robust rental market for you. Highly correlated with infrastructure development. And as we increase our infrastructure development today, the real estate in the Philippines is going to be top choice. Opportunity for leverage. Now, as we invest in stocks, for example, most of us actually put up 100% of the investment. Like, you buy a stock, you pay for the whole investment, unless you have a special margin. In real estate, you don't do that. What these guys are asking you to do is like pay a down payment of anywhere between 10 to 20%. And within a period of maybe even 36, 12, 36, or even 48 months, you pay another 20, 30%, right? So at the end of 3 to 4 years, you only pay 20 to 40%. If prices go up by 10%, you don't make 10%. You actually make 25 because you haven't paid for the whole thing. So that's the leverage position for you because you don't pay the actual property. In fact, there might be deals where you're able to lease it out while you're still paying for monthly amortizations. Ask the people who have invited you here tonight. There also is a provision for utility and connection. I've encountered a lot of places, where Filipinos have been in an area like earlier on, We saw someone who's like 25 years in Hong Kong, right? 30 years in Hong Kong. So people are thinking, you know, my children are not connected to the Philippines. They don't even know our country anymore. And it's tough because even if it's a short plane ride away, they don't want to go home. Or maybe because there is nothing that connects you to the Philippines. If you have a place to stay in the Philippines, things change. The real connection happens if you have property in a given area. But there is a difference between real estate per se and real estate in the Philippines. Because if you have a real estate investment in a place where there is strong GDP growth, then you have the propensity to have higher increases in appreciation. Accelerated infrastructure development, I'll give you a little peek of what's happening and what the government is doing in that area. Attractive rental yields, I've mentioned that earlier, and relatively lower prices within the region. So, this is a study from a an independent real estate consultant. In fact, the leading one in the Philippines, Lichu and Associates. What does it say here? What do they say? The fact that even offices have a positive demand. You know, again, some of you might have been to San Francisco, Los Angeles recently. You know, the central business districts in those areas are dead today. They're all dead today. No one is going to work. And since those offices are vacant, you see a lot of homeless people in the streets. As people would rather stay in the suburbs and work from home. After the pandemic, they don't want to be in the CBD. Very different in Makati, right? People still want to go to the office. And in the Philippines, there is no problem bringing people to the office. Because we can't work at home. Technically, you know, we've done a lot of surveys. People don't want to work at home. People don't want to be with their family, their kids. They're not as productive. In fact, internet connection is not so good. You cannot work effectively from home, right? So you have to go to the office. But see, as the demand in the offices remain, you don't have enough supply. So the net demand is there, and quite frankly and surprisingly, office prices per square meter are still creeping up. And that will continue. And why? Because there wouldn't be any supply from 2028 and 2029. Because people stopped building. People stopped building offices during the pandemic. No launches have been made. So as demand goes up and you don't have the supply, guess where prices are going to be? So lease prices are beginning to creep up again after that big drop during the pandemic. This is residential demand. So from a low of the first quarter of 2022, residential demand is also started moving up and continuously moved up over that time within that very, very hard to beat pandemic. And prices have been staggering. The last deal done in a AAA rated building in Bonifacio Global City was at 881,000 per square meter. So you can just imagine, 881,000 per square meter. If your maid's room is 12.5 meters, that's about 12 million pesos. That's the maid's room right now. So you're going to be looking at, you know, all across the metropolis, rates going like this. And for that reason, and not that I'm really, really proud of it, but you will see consistent increases in value even within the pandemic. This is 5 years of compounded annualized growth rate within BGC and Makati. Very positive, including the years of the pandemic. 3 years of the pandemic. Still continuously goes up. And this is fresh from the oven. It just came out this week. Sorry, not the one here. This is like the growth of real estate prices within Makati. For people who are very familiar with Forbes, with Dasmariñas Village. The primest of the prime, the most expensive dwellings in the country. Would you believe that Forbes and Dasma were launched at the price of 66 pesos per square meter. $1 per square meter in 1962. Today, it's 800,000 pesos per square meter. That's a compounded annualized growth rate of 18 to 19%. Just owning the property and letting your family live in the most progressive, the most prime residential area in the country. So you see that coming through all the, dot-com bubble, global financial crisis, Asian financial crisis, those prices have continuously gone up. This is the news that I've been saying. Hong Kong ranking slips as Manila is the world's hottest market for prime residential properties. We have dislodged Dubai as the #1 property market in the last quarter. Hong Kong, unfortunately, is at number 36 now. 36. And why? Because you're so expensive already. I mean, you cannot grow by 25% anymore, right? So the growth here can be fairly continuous, but that would be in single digits now. But you'll have places like Dubai and Manila, many upcoming markets where you can still see double-digit growth. In fact, in the Philippines, in the third quarter, the growth rate was 24%. Okay? 24%. It's almost like I tell people, with the infrastructure that's going on in the Philippines, with the infrastructure change, where we're building a subway, we're getting a lot of bridges done. It's almost like you bring yourself to Hong Kong and to Singapore 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when you don't see the infrastructure you see today, 20 years ago, would you have bought property here 20 years ago? I think you will, with the way things are today. So, if you're going to be looking at a market of 20 to 30 years ago, that's Manila. You have the option of getting your own place in Hong Kong and Singapore 20 to 30 years ago. Because that's where we're headed. Look at the infrastructure that's going to be done. Air, sea, inter-island connectivity, mobility. Roads and bridges alone, within the metropolis, just within Metro Manila. 11 bridges or 8.8 linear, 1,000 meters of development. You know why the traffic is so heavy in EDSA? Because it's the only connector from Makati to BGC, Makati to Quezon City. So everybody goes to EDSA. But now, if you have, we just opened the BGC or Tiga Center link, if these other bridges are open, that will ease traffic within the metropolis. But it's not just the metropolis. We're also doing highways to connect Luzon. If you're from Bicol, you know that Bicol to Ilocos is about 20 hours. When this is done in 5 years, Bicol to Ilocos will be 9 hours. Because of these new highways that are being built today. Some of them have actually been delivered already. Like T-Plex is now from Metro Manila to as far as La Union, and that's less than an hour and a half now. Before, it will take you probably 3 to 4 hours. The connector, Skyway Stage 3, if you're from Makati, you're going to Balintawak going north. That would be an hour and a half through EDSA. Today, moving at 60 kilometers per hour, that will be less than 18 minutes. Today, because it's already delivered as well. This NLEX SLEX connector. South Luzon and North Luzon Express. And we're doing this all across the country. Not just Luzon, even in Visayas. In fact, we are going to be having our own version of your Hong Kong-Macau Bridge. Hong Kong-Macau Bridge, 55 kilometers. Bataan-Cavite Bridge will be 32 kilometers. Can you just imagine, coming from Bicol now going north, coming from Batangas going to Baguio, you don't need to pass Metro Manila.
Yeah.
You now go straight ahead to Bataan, Zambales, and up to northern Luzon. So Baguio from the south will be less than 3 hours now. So that's going to be big. And all of these are being built now. This is not plans. These are not plans. These are getting to happen. Now, as we speak real estate, the person who invited you invited you here for a reason and a purpose, but let me just introduce the company that did that, the company that is behind the people who invited you. We are the AYALA Group, and the AYALA Group is one of the most respected business conglomerates in the Philippines. The core businesses would be AYALA Land, BPI, Globe Telecom, and AC Energy. Just these four companies alone will give you a market cap of about 1.5 trillion pesos, or about $27.5 billion. But it's not only these four companies. It has emerging businesses in AC Health and AC Logistics, portfolio investments in AC Industrials, Manila Water, Education and iPeople, AC Infrastructure, and AC Ventures. If you're going to be looking at the entire conglomerate, it's going to be about 2 billion pesos and about $37.5 billion. At the heart of it all is AYALA Land. AYALA Land is the largest and most diversified property company, property developer in the Philippines. It's involved in a lot of developments, not just residential, it's also in commercial. You know, we own the country's best malls, offices, resorts and hotels. We own El Nido as well, if you're familiar with that place in Palawan. And service businesses that support the entire conglomerate. Makati Business Development, or Makati Development Corp, is the biggest, biggest construction company in the Philippines. APMC is the biggest property management company in the Philippines. And we also own an airline with Air Swift. We also have strategic investments in Cebu Holdings. Agaland is a Malaysian developer. Ortigas. We also have logistics, medical with Qualimed, and Mercado as a retail and supermarket chain. So it's really a whole conglomerate of support systems. And why? Because we don't move in pockets. We don't move as one-offs. We always have been known to do large-scale developments, integrated and mixed-use developments. So you all know Makati CBD. That, in the 1960s, is a swampland. And it's now the biggest CBD, the prime and the most progressive one in the whole country. Ayala Alabang, Cebu Park District, Bonifacio Global City, and New Valley. So we move in scale, and we make sure that when we get into an area and we're already in what we call 47 Ayala estates, all of these estates are complete with residential, commercial, industrial, logistics, hospitals, schools. So people don't even have to go. A lot of people were thinking at a certain point, why would I have to buy a New Valley? That's very far from Manila. Now they realize 15, 20 years later, if you're in New Valley, you don't have to go to Metro Manila. It's already a complete estate in that area. All the schools are there. So it's all comprehensive as well. Our company has 5 main brands. Belavita is for socialized housing. Amaya and Avida would be for core, middle-income housing. Alveo is upscale, and ALP is what we call our luxury brand. Alveo is the company that invited you here tonight. And we want to give it a bit of focus. And that's the reason why the speaker who's going to be following me will be talking more about Alveo and the projects that are going to be made available for all of you. I hope that my discussion helped you a little bit to know about the Philippines as a country, what's happening to business in our part of the globe, and I hope that also brings you confidence to get into a decision that you probably might be considering for some time. Thank you so much and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Rex Mendoza, for that insightful presentation. We definitely see promising opportunities in investing in the Philippines, specifically in real estate. Again, here is a QR code that you can scan to send in your questions for our speakers to answer later. Now, our next and last speaker for tonight is here to share Alveo Land's portfolio, highlighting Alveo's properties in Makati City, the financial and central business district of the Philippines. and Parklands, the greenest urban estate in Eastern Metro Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Regional Sales Head, Mr. Ronald Gulio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So after hearing the latest economic and market update from our export resource speaker, Mr. Rex Mendoza, allow me a few more minutes of your time to talk about two of our most sought after projects in AYALA. But before I start with that, let me talk more about first our company, AYALA. So every AYALA development ensures that our buyers, the residents, as well as the other stakeholders, will be able to live and work well across the Philippines. So this has been our thrust as a company for over 21 years. And this is built on a solid foundation, figuratively and literally speaking, as well as with excellent execution and a strong customer orientation. And that is why what we offer with our projects would be sound investments. Investments that will give you confidence as well as the peace of mind to be able to sleep at night, especially if you're going to consider investing overseas. Again, we are backed by the leading developer in the country, AYALA. And Alveo has already made its mark also in the real estate industry, becoming the biggest in terms of sales in the AYALA Land Group for many years already. And we have launched 69 projects, not only in the established estates and master plan communities of AYALA and Alveo, but as well as up-and-coming urban centers and growth corridors throughout the Philippines. And if we look at Alveo in the 21 years that we've been operating, by the numbers, so we've had 69 projects, and we've reached clients in 38 countries, and we are proud to say that we have launched, or we have turned over rather, 24,400 units, and still counting. We are going to turn over 3,000 units this year supposed to be, and we are on track to be able to hit that by the end of this year. And we are also proud to say that we have one of the biggest land banks, not only within our AYALA Land residential group, but in the industry overall. 1,608 hectares worth of land bank after 69 projects already launched or completed and being constructed. That is worth 76 billion pesos. So this is going to be a source of our future growth that will only strengthen the brand even more, making our existing properties all the more attractive to the market, knowing that there are going to be more projects to be offered to the market. Now, through these years, and in the process, we were able to garner 103 recognitions for our projects, as well as for Alveo as a developer. And one of these projects wherein we were recognized. But first, let me talk about the recognition we received as a developer. So last year, we were adjudged as the Developer of the Year in the Philippines by the Real Estate Asia Awards for 2022, as well as by the Global Business Magazine and the International Business Magazine. So these are feathers from our cap, so to speak, when we celebrated our 20th year last year. In one project that was recognized also as one of the top projects in the country would be the first project that I will be sharing to you this evening. It's called Astella, and it was awarded the gold winner in the Titan Property Awards last year. So where is Astella? Astella is located in Makati, which is the premier business and financial district in the country. And this was part of the Make It Makati redevelopment plan, which started in 2012. So Ayala Land doubled down on its crown jewel. It's Makati where Ayala Land first started. And in 2012, as I mentioned, Ayala Land embarked on this redevelopment plan, programming about 2.5 billion in investments to revitalize Makati. And about a third of that investment went to the building of Circuit Makati, which was envisioned to be the lifestyle playground of Makati. So in Circuit Makati, we envision entertainment in a new light. So this site used to be a horse race track, which was closed in 2009, moved to a suburban location to make way for this development in 2012. So making Circuit Makati more holistic, more inclusive, and family-friendly development. So this is about 2 kilometers away from the northern part of Ayala Avenue via South Avenue. So it's the 6th node in the Ayala redevelopment plan that is more or less completed already. But for Circuit Makati, we are just 50% of the way when it comes to our development of Circuit Makati. So as mentioned by Mr. Mendoza, in any development that we master plan, we ensure that it's truly a mixed-use development. And Circuit Makati is no different. Within the district, within the estate rather, we have a lifestyle district, a commercial district, active and open spaces, which is signature already, a signature of any Ayala development. There is ample open and green spaces. There is, of course, the residential district, where our projects are being built, and an office district, wherein we also have office spaces for sale in the market. So for the lifestyle district, we have the Circuit Events Grounds, which has been home to festivals and concerts. So it can accommodate 20,000 audience for concerts and the like. For smaller intimate events, we have the Power Mac Spotlight, and the flagship venue for our Circuit Makati is the world-class Samsung Performing Arts Theater, which can accommodate up to 1,500 guests for world-class performances. And this was opened in July 2022. And it has been a venue for concert tours of Philharmonic Orchestra, Philippine Ballet, as well as international plays and performances. In the retail and commercial district, we have, of course, the anchor, our Ayala Mall's Circuit Mall. And we also have a membership retail warehouse establishment called SNR, and a circuit lane. So this is a central walk line with dining options and retail establishments, as well as a central water feature. So this is an actual picture of circuit lane, and this is connected to the Ayala Mall circuit, which currently has an average foot traffic of 45,000 per day. Then the mentioned open and active spaces. So we have the parks, the circuit event grounds where concerts are being held. We have the skate park for active lifestyles. And of course the circuit lane. Again, the walkable central lane within the circuit Makati development. So this has encouraged activities such as yoga, physical training, as well as community activities like sports clinic and even riverside activations are happening on a regular basis in Circuit Makati. Now for the residential development, we have launched 3 projects, starting with Solstice Towers, which is already ready for occupancy with a few units remaining. We also have the Callisto Towers. Both, by the way, are 2-tower developments. So Callisto is near turnover. It's for turnover starting 3rd quarter next year for the first tower. And the latest offering that we have is called Astella. So this is located beside Circuit Lane, promising accessibility, comforts, as well as being surrounded with the arts, culture, and entertainment, making Circuit Makati quite unique compared to other Ayala developments and of course other districts in Metro Manila. So we have 35 floors for the first tower of Astella, which was launched last year with 409 spacious units. And with 16 units to a floor, it makes the building less dense compared to other developments. So giving it a feel of exclusivity as well as premiumness, given the less density that we're offering for Astella. So the next slides would be just from artist perspective to give you a feel and appreciation of what Astella is going to look like once we've completed. So this is a rendering of the drop-off lobby, the main lobby, with the elevator lobby. This is the gym, a boardroom where you can hold your meetings. Then we're also offering a co-working space. This has been a trend in recent years. So we are making this available also to our unit members and residents. And of course, there's going to be the pool deck. And then we go now to a sample computation. So you know how much it would cost to invest in this property. So you can see here, this is for a 3-bedroom unit. And it is denominated in Hong Kong dollars. So you can better appreciate the numbers. The total contract price is about 5.5 million Hong Kong dollars. This is after discount of 10%, which we are still currently offering, as well as a term discount for spot 10% down payment. So in order to lock in the price, because prices would increase along the way as we continue to sell the remainder of the units, we just need to deposit the reservation fee of 13,948 Hong Kong dollars. And 1 month after, paid for the down payment amounting to 534,620 Hong Kong dollars. So this is the 10% down payment under this sample computation. And then for 65 months, you just need to pay 12,660 Hong Kong dollars. So earlier, Mr. Mendoza mentioned about enjoying leverage when investing in real estate, particularly in reselling properties. So you don't have to pay upfront for the whole amount. You will be able to secure and lock in the investment at the current price and be able to enjoy the upside that you can expect from investing in a selling property. So 12,660 for 65 months. Then the balance will be due after that, after 65 months, equivalent to 75%.
Kasi 3 5 million pesos.
And this last slide for this project shows our launch prices for projects that we have developed and launched in Circuit Makati. So we started with Solstice Tower 1 in 2013 at 116,000 pesos per square. And the latest one that we launched last year is already at 305,000. So almost 3 times the launch price of our very first tower in Circuit Makati. This goes to show that if you are an early mover and you invest in reselling real estate, you get the chance to enjoy the value appreciation of the investment. Now, as I mentioned, it's not too late to invest in Circuit Makati because we are just almost half of the way when it comes to our development of Circuit Makati. We expect full build out 2 to 3 years from now. So we expect that capital appreciation for investments in Circuit Makati to continue.
Reselling.
Now I go to the second project that we are featuring this evening, the Lattice. So the Lattice is located
2 more years.
in C5 Pasig for those familiar in this area. So this is straddling 2 key cities in Metro Manila. So I think we are more familiar with
Kasi 10 million.
Makati and even BGC. But Quezon City and Pasig City are also crucial cities in Metro Manila. Quezon City being the biggest in terms of land area and population, while Pasig, because of its location in central, eastern part of Metro Manila, have been locations for new development, especially this area along C5. We call it the C5 corridor. So many new districts and developments have been put up in this area. But the biggest of them all so far is our development, Parklinks, which is a joint venture between 2 leading real estate companies in the Philippines, AYALA Land and Eton Properties. So the Parklinks estate has a gross floor area for the master plan for the phase 1 at 677,000 square meters. And 70% of which is going to be residential and 30% for the other uses, including commercial and other uses. So our proposition for Parklinks is green urban living. That you can be in any location in Parklinks and be 250 meters away to a park or open space. So in the site development plan, you see that we're going to have another AYALA Mall in Parklinks. So this is always an anchor for retail and commercial in any AYALA development. But there's also going to be commercial developments in terms of office. And also enumerated here are the many parks and open spaces that are in the development. And I'd like to give you a flavor of what that is going to look like. But first, the aforementioned mall, which is going to be completed by 2026. So it will have 40,000 gross leasable space, 40,000 square meters at least. And 50% of parkings is going to be allotted for parks and open spaces. So around and within the development, there's going to be these parks and open spaces, an esplanade, eco terraces, eco center, eco forest, and eco park. So this is an artist's perspective of the eco center, which is going to be one of the biggest parks in Parklinks. A signature landmark in Parklinks is the Parklinks Bridge. So this one is a rendering of the Parklinks Bridge. It will connect the Pasig and the Quezon City parcels of Parklinks.
Ano sa Pasig?
And here is an actual picture of the completed bridge in the evening.
Ganda.
So this was
From Pasig.
completed late last year.
That's why I love it.
It is 110
Very
meters
beautiful.
long
Pasig
and
talaga.
25
Oh, that's
meters
new. Yeah.
wide. Again, it's also going to
Ganda.
help in decongesting the traffic within the area with this bridge that's connecting Quezon City and Pasig City.
agents? I'm the agent. She's a client.
This is another photo, but this time
Yeah.
in daytime
Like,
for the Parklinks Bridge.
looking. You know the property is so easy to go. Nice.
So now, we go
Yeah.
to the
Because
details
I'm an
of the
agent,
project.
so easy to
This
rise
is
the
our
price.
first project in
Yeah.
Parklinks. It's called the Lattice. It's going to have 40 floors, 7 podium levels,
Thank you.
530 units,
Ay,
with 550 parking slots, and turnover will start first quarter of
Wala
2027.
naman tao.
So not only will you enjoy the features and amenities of the estate, so we also have
Ice
within
cream. Again, that.
Lattice, within the development, these amenities. So this is going to be at the 9th floor of the Lattice.
Wow.
These are some renderings. So aside from the Eco Center Park, a 3-hectare park that is going to be directly in front of Lattice, there's also a great lawn, as we call it, in the amenity floor of the Lattice. Now also some artist perspective of the lobby of the Lattice. And here we see an artist perspective also of a 3-bedroom unit in the Lattice. So again, I'll show a sample combination
Manila
this
o Cebu?
time for the Lattice. 3-bedroom.
Ilocos din ako. My sister in Ilocos.
So again, denominated in Hong Kong
Yeah, Cavite.
dollars. Total contract price of
Kalpit lang tayo.
4.96 million Hong Kong dollars.
Ilocano.
This is after a term
So
discount
December uwi kami. Uwi
for
kayo.
payment term of 10% BP of 90,500. And to be able to lock in this price currently, just need to pay a reservation fee of 13,609 Hong Kong dollars. Then after a month, to pay for the down payment of 483,073. And then for 41 months, thereafter, monthly amortization of 6,058 Hong Kong dollars. We're also proud to share that this project, aside from Astella, also received recognition, this time from the Moody as being,
Pero ano yun? Second, ano ba yun?
aside from Alveo being the best developer in Luzon, this project was recognized as the best premium condominium project in Luzon for 2020.
Sino makikipag-usap sa kanya?
So that is the lattice project where natural parkside living is complemented by modern urban conveniences in an AYALA development. I'd like to end with this. Mr. Mendoza mentioned about this. And I'd like to echo this. This is part of my slide. This is a thought exercise that we always bring up when we go to countries like Hong Kong. Imagine having the opportunity to invest, not just 20 years ago, 10, 30 years ago. This is a photo taken in 1962 in the Hong Kong harbor. Of course, with the benefit of hindsight, you would surely invest in Hong Kong. But of course, that opportunity is not available anymore. But a similar opportunity, we're not saying that Manila is going to be the next Hong Kong, but we believe that in terms of upside, this is the latest price per square meter figure, or this is square per square foot, I believe, from Global Property Guide. So for the Philippines, it's 121 Hong Kong dollars compared to Hong Kong at almost 20 times higher. So that is what Mr. Mendoza was talking about. In terms of the high prices already, while for the Philippines, there's still much room for growth. So we leave you with that, and we hope that you found our presentation helpful as you continue with your investment journey. We encourage you to continue the conversation with our property specialist who invited you today. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ronald Guerrero, for sharing with us the latest crime of INTSIK projects.
We are the same
Stella
province.
Circuit Makati and
Ilocos.
Atlas.
Did you go to Ilocos?
We now move on to the Q&A portion of our program. May I invite our speakers to
Di
stay
pareho kami
in front to
Ilocos.
answer our guests'
Ilocos Sur.
questions.
Candon, Agudin. That's very good.
Many times.
Ano name mo si Anne?
Jessica.
Nice to meet you.
Donald.
Donald. Annie.
Alright, so for our first question, this is for Sir Rex Mendoza. What are the advantages and disadvantages of investing in property compared to investments in stocks and mutual funds?
Okay, stocks and mutual funds, obviously, you're going to be looking at package prices that are really low. So you can start investing 10,000 pesos, 25,000 pesos. You don't need a lot of commitment to invest in stocks and bonds, especially as you're starting out an investment journey. However, there are different considerations like risks, liquidity, returns, and all of that. So basically, what we know is that you have to be able to match investment objectives and investment vehicles. So depending on your objectives, depending on what you intend to do, the timeline that you have, the investment proposition is going to be different. So basically, it will be a one-on-one situation, different books, different strokes. So an investment portfolio is going to be ideal for you. I guess the final answer to this is the fact that most successful investors are actually invested in many different types of vehicles. You also have to be very diversified in the types of products or the types of investments that you make over time.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that. Another question for you is investing in office space a good idea right now?
I guess this is something that I need to answer in the perspective that's actually global. And why do I say that? Because there are really cities in the world today where offices will not be a good proposition. As I mentioned, there are places where people don't want to go to the metropolis, they'd rather stay suburban, and they're very productive doing that. Again, we just came from San Francisco, Daly City, Burlingame, robust, really fast track on the growth path. But unfortunately, downtown San Francisco is bad. You know, all the retail area was unoccupied in a place called Embarcadero Center. When I started training in AIG, this kind of dates me, but I trained there in the late 80s. One Embarcadero Center is, you know, probably the most posh area of San Francisco. It's no man's land today. Not even one retail area is open on the ground because no one goes to the city center anymore. However, in the Philippines, it's another story. As mentioned earlier, Filipinos have, you know, first of all, the weather is really bad and most of our houses, we don't want the aircon to be on the whole day. So they'd rather be in the office because in the office and in the mall, the aircon is free, right? And you don't really complain a lot about internet because internet is good within the central business districts. And there's some urban areas that would be quite an issue. So for productivity, a lot of companies have lured their workers back to the city. In fact, I would even say this for AYALA Land, very early on, we have required employees to be in the office 5 days a week, earlier than many others. But I guess to finally answer that, especially in a place like the Philippines, offices will be a good investment because one thing's very certain for us, it's productivity. It's so hard to make Filipinos productive if they're not physically present. You know, quite frankly, and you know how it is, right? If you're a Filipino, you understand what I'm saying. So basically, offices will always be a good proposition, and that's the reason why prices of offices have stayed relatively stable, unlike other areas where they really grow.
Okay, sir. So for the third one, what are the advantages of investing overseas for Hong Kong investors?
Again, for me, it's clearly diversification. Definitely, as Ron has shown, Hong Kong is Hong Kong, Singapore is Singapore. It's already at a very high level in terms of price. So the upside might be fairly limited. If you invest in a place like the Philippines, the upside is still, you know, a lot more. I mean, the ceiling is quite high because of things that are happening. Again, GDP growth, infrastructure, and all that. You've had a subway here for as long as I know. We're going to be having our first subway in about 4 years. So you can just imagine the kinds of developments that will be in the nodes where the subway are going to have, the subway will be having stations. So that's exactly what you see here, right? As you see subway stations underneath malls and all that. So definitely that will be happening in the Philippines.
Okay, sir. For the final question for tonight, is it a good time to invest in property given that the interest rates are still high?
Okay, I mean, I say this and I'm putting my money where my mouth is because Alveo knows I am packaging quite a big purchase myself. Okay, I am in the thick of things for that because we are investors and we know that you have to take a position when not a lot of people are doing that, so you can have those discounts, terms, and deals. Now, the reason why I'm saying now, even as rates are high, is because Alveo is not charging you a rate anyway. I mean, for the next 3 years, the next 24, 36 months, there's zero interest. And in about 3 years, the rates are going to be lower. By that time, when the rates are lower, the package prices of the properties will be higher. Right? That's exactly what's going to happen. And you know, I tell you this because I've come from a lot of, this kind of ages me again, I've come from a lot of crisis periods in my life. The 1997 crisis, the 2008 global financial crisis. If you can go back to those times, guys, you have to agree with me. They were great times to invest. If you invested in those times, you would have made more money than when you're investing when there's no crisis. So knowing what I know, knowing the crisis that we've gone through in our professional life, I think it's a good time to be able to take a real plunge this time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for expanding even more the knowledge that was imparted earlier to our guests and our property specialists. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this officially ends our program. You may learn more about LBS offerings through your respective property consultants. Thank you and have a good evening.
I think it's very interesting. A lot of different properties. That's for sure that they've got. They do. Yeah. A lot to digest. A lot to What other projects are coming out with brand new ones just on the table?
It's just lots.
So what will that be? Will it be condos or will it be houses?
And that's already so high. It was already checked. So
Ano kayo ng mga bahay niyo sa Ayala, guys?
project
Sa mga wala pang bahay, invest. Let's go to Ayala. Let's invest while we still have jobs. Para hindi tayo mag-regret sa
When you were asking that question,
asset nyo na rin. Once you invest,
because again, that's a
ay yung nila kami yung iba rin.
if you're not a US citizen,
The way I like to put it is you have two huge real estate farms, Ayala Land as well as PINAY. And the campus here is 35 properties. So the sky's the limit in this industry.
Ayala Land was founded in what I'm doing with a progressive balance with a much greener lifestyle given its generous parts.
One of the issues that we have is having a multitude of different facilities and they excel at a very high level. We don't want it to feel congested. We want the community to also feel like there is seamless integration of the landscape as well as the parks.
The combination of these two really and serve more
Investing in this is a very good strategy.
you're going to be the one to pay the rent. I'm forgetting the government saying first one employees to go out. These are really in danger. So where to find you? Who's going to be the one doing if you're the one running after?
Yeah, we've been deciding
Plans so far. I imagine though that this will probably be
Tapos na yata. Tapos na.